So we got another artifact jam for us this round. On our right is Joseph Penney here playing blue-black Tezzeret. And so what exactly is going on here?
Well, that's quite the question. How much time do you have?
We got a few minutes.
We got a healthy 50.
Yeah.
We got a healthy 50.
Yeah, we got the whole round.
So Joe Penney, and these guys are both going to be X and 1. We have, geez, what don't we have? We have 3 Ratchet Bombs, we have a Torpor Orb, a couple Tumble Magnets, 1 Nile Spell Bomb, a handful of Pristine Talismans, a Mortipod, 3 Trading Posts, 4 Tezzerets, which is the namesake of his deck, some Ponder, some Go for the Throats, and some Wormcoil Engines to finish our opponent off. He can do a little bit of everything in his Tezzeret deck.
On the left, we have former Versus Superstar Phimus fan playing Wolf Run Ramp, splashing blue for Ponder and Temporal Mastery.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he a Frost Titan too or no?
Frost Titan, Primeval Titan, Solemn.
Okay, so this is the deck that Josh Ravitz won his PTQ with on the East Coast a couple weeks ago. Your traditional Wolf Run Ramp deck, but he has Frost Titan, he has Temporal Mastery, which is great if you... It's great if you Miracle it, and it's also completely reasonable for him to hardcast it as well. And of course, Titans with Time Walks.
It's peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real skill game. So this will be kind of interesting, actually, because, Joseph is going to want to, do his thing with Tezzeret, activate that a couple times, get a bunch of artifacts into play, make some 5/5s, do all this nonsense, while Phimus is going to want to go right over the top.
Yeah, and we saw, obviously his, Penny's deck is different from Chris Higashi's deck, but we saw this before with the artifact deck that's trying to, get its shop set up and engineer this weird game state. Just getting run over by the cold efficiency of ramp. So curious to see if we're going to see a replay of that.
I think that Joseph's deck does a little bit more than Higashi's deck does. Higashi's deck was a little bit... It would have
been hard to do less.
That's, I was going to try it to be nice, yet here we are. Yeah. But I think that, he does a little bit more. His Trading Posts are a little bit better. I'm a little surprised to see that he doesn't have Phyrexian Core in his deck. But when you have a blue-black Planeswalker, you really can't play as many colorless lands as you want to. Because he also has Inkmoth Nexus as well, so you can't play a ton of colorless lands. But this should be interesting, actually. Because, he's got some removal and Go for the Throw, Black Sun Zenith and Doomblade, and a couple Liliana the Veils. And then, he's got his artifact package and he's got his Tezzerets, too. So I'm interested to see how these Tezzeret decks play, because sometimes they're great and other times they are stinky.
So, finish off with a good start here. Is turn 2 Rampant Growth after his Ponder, finding another island.
Do we find any Farseeks in Phimus' deck? Has he added those or no?
He has a Singleton Farseek to complement 4 Rampant Growth and 4 Spirit of the Suns.
Okay, because he is playing a third color. Yep. He's playing blue-green, probably a little red too for like Whip Flare or Slagstorm or something. So maybe Farseek would be better in this version instead of the traditional 2-color version.
Farseek probably signaling that Return to Ravnica will be the return of Hallowed Fountain and Friends.
We can only hope. We can only hope. So now here we are going to see a Spear of the Suns.
It's going to resolve.
And does he have the land to follow this up so he can go 2/4/6? He's going to try to. He's got access to all the colors of the rainbow, so if he does have a land, he can play Frost Titan or he can play Primeval Titan. So now, what Phimus doesn't know, Pat, is that there are no counterspells in Joe's list.
He has some spot removal, right, but no actual...
Yeah, you're not going to find Mana Leak or Dissipate here in his main deck, so, if he wants to cast Big Boom Boom Titan right now, he can, and if he doesn't want to, and he wants to play around Mana Leak, then he can do that as well. It's his option.
All right, well...
Well, the coast is clear now. And
we got a reader.
Yeah, we got a reader here, folks.
I'm going to guess that he's going to have to read that thing multiple times.
Well, it does a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of trading. It's an open market.
If you say so. There's a lot that's happening with Trading Posts. Tapping out there.
Yeah, I believe he's actually writing down the 4 modes.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It doesn't do that much in my deck. It's not a big deal. Just leave it alone.
So what are the things you can do with this thing? You can sack an artifact to draw a card.
Jeez.
I believe that you can...
That's the one that comes to top of mind right away.
You can make a goat, I believe.
Bah. That's something else you can do. I'm actually pulling it up right now because it does so many things that I don't want to get it wrong.
I hope that we don't go through all this work and he's just
dead.
Killed by a Titan in 2
Yeah.
turns.
By the time my iPad loads it up, he's just dead already. Phimus is untapped. I mean, the window is wide open for him to cast a Titan. Also, yeah. I mean, he can cast Temporal Mastery as a Explorer type card. He has that option available as well.
I think you would ideally like to have some sort of board presence before you Temporal Mastery.
Agreed. As far as Trading Post is concerned, 4 mana, 1 in tap, discard a card, you gain 4 life. 1 in tap, pay a life, put an 0/1 white goat creature token into play. 1 in tap, sacrifice a creature, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. 1 in tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. So there's nothing the Trading Post can't do.
So there's no lie on the Trading Post here. This means that Penney still can Doomblade and pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think I love that. You know, make him have the 5th land. Make him have the 5th land. You know, you tap.
I might not even know if there's Doomblade in his hand.
I think it's safe to assume that he probably has some sort of removal spell in his hand. And is the Trade Post really that threatening right now?
I'm not. That's not like a rhetorical. Like, I actually don't know.
Okay, sure. Sure.
I mean,
it can do anything.
Yeah, literally could be anything. So.
But I would have felt a little safer tapping a land down, making him if we're going to put him on Doomblade or go for the throat.
It seems reasonable to assume that you're probably safe from a Trading Post activation for 1 turn.
So we're going to go ahead and play this.
So we're going to pay our 4 here.
Go for the Trots, pay.
Pays for the trigger.
We're going to keep moving along. So first Titan is taken care of. Primeval would be much better, of course, because I'm going to assume, and I know you have the deck list in front of you, that there is probably a Wolfrun and an Ink Moth in this deck.
1 of each, yes.
Okay.
Alongside 4 Glimmer Posts.
Okay.
And it looks like Pan's out of action here. Just played his Sphere and said go. So it's time to see what this Trading Post can do.
I mean, he accelerated pretty well. You know, he did his 2/4/6, which is what you want to do. Now you have to draw the threats to kind of finish off Penney, and he only had 1, and that one was dealt with rather easily. Yeah, Penney has the window to cast Wormcoil Engine, and I mean, what better time than now?
Yeah.
You can do all your Trading Post shenanigans after this thing's in play, and still have a nice clock as well.
You get the vibe he didn't want to play the Wormcoil because he'd rather spin the post this turn, even though...
Yeah, you could just think, he's putting the post and the Wormcoil together. What can't I do, thank you?
Make a 6/6 or a goat? I don't know.
Oh, I mean, it's going to get better than that. He can sacrifice the Wormcoil. He can sacrifice the Wormcoil. I have to bring it up on my phone. This is so awesome. He could sacrifice the Wormcoil to return an artifact card from his graveyard and then sack an artifact, which is one of those tokens, to draw a card. This card is insane.
What doesn't it do?
Yeah, what doesn't it do?
Unfortunately, I feel like it's going to be in play, and then Tezzeret plus Wormcoil here is going to just kill him, and we're never really going to see what the Trading Post can do.
But I want to see the post.
Just discard and gain 4.
Yeah.
Untap and kill him.
Yeah. That's a good 4-mana investment.
All
1,
right, so
discard.
We're going to spin the wheel here with Tezzeret.
It's top 5 for Tez.
Is that a Torpor Orb you just found?
He has a Torpor Orb in his main deck.
That's pretty hateful.
Yeah, which is very hateful. And you're also going to find another one as sideboard. And, like, that's the best possible card you can have against Ram.
Sure.
So...
Today is not your day.
Yeah.
We got some main deck Torpor Orbs.
I mean, 6-mana 6/6s are pretty good, but I mean they don't do anything now. So Phimus draws. Nothing too impressive going on here, and of course, don't forget if that Torpor Orb is no good, sack it to the Trading Post.
Yeah, you just turn it into something else.
Yeah, just you trade it for a new card. So I guess it's kind of no harm, no foul playing one of those.
This is a board I would not have anticipated seeing earlier today, like before the tournament started.
Sure, if I were to bring up to you board states that could occur.
Trading Post, Wormcoil Engine, Tezzeret, Torpor Orb. Also, this is game 1. Probably wouldn't have been too high on my list of...
No, you don't think... versus on the other side the 3-color ramp deck
Yeah.
with Glimmer Posts
Yeah.
and Cavern play. No? Yeah, well, what do you know about Standard?
All right, let's see what we're about. What are we doing? I believe it looks like we're making a goat. I think that's where we're gonna get this
Bah.
part. Bah.
You pay a life for that goat.
All right.
It may seem costly, but it's
We're
really
starting
not.
to get that investment back.
Yeah. You pay a life to get that 0-1 into play, and he has a goat token.
5 mana.
You
and
have to respect a man who comes prepared with the post.
5 mana and a life and a card later we have 0-1. All right, Worm Coil in again. Looks like we're going to be chumping with our Nexus.
Nexus making its move to the bin. Penney goes up to 31.
Worm Coil is now shrunk to a more manageable 5/5.
Just a 5/5. So what are the outs here for Phimus? All kidding aside, is there anything that he can draw to really get back in this game? Because his Titans are much worse now. So
Yeah,
what
I'm
are
not
we thinking he
even
can draw?
really sure. Like, he has, I guess Karn is probably his best card from here. He has a singleton Karn in his deck.
Does Bonfire do much?
I mean, not really. I mean, between the Trading Post and the Worm Coil, he's pretty well set up to fight a sweeper.
Okay, sure. So nothing.
But I don't think realistically there's very much. If he gets to 14 mana, he can go, or 9 mana, he can go like Temporal Mastery Karn. If he has Karn in hand and has Temporal Mastery.
Sure.
And then that's something.
Sure.
It's a starting point.
Things are going to have to really break his way.
You have more Temporal Masteries to draw. In theory, you just go
So-
Super Ultimate.
So are you going to... I'm going to say it again, and maybe you can acknowledge my comment. Things are going to have to break his way.
Yeah, you're gonna have to catch some breaks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I believe that he could stack his deck and win. Like there is conceivably a stretch of draws. No, I mean I bring this up all the time. A lot of people play out games when it's like if you could stack your deck from here, you'd still lose. So why
Sure.
are we still spinning? I guess people can make mistakes, whatever. But
Sure.
I believe there is actually a possible sequence of draws where he can just win the game with no error from Penney. He could actually just
Okay.
Temporal
Yeah,
Mastery and go off.
Yeah, you could conceivably like draw Karn, Miracle and Temporal Mastery like three turns in a row,
Right.
and then restart the game. And that is a conceivable way to win. And you know what? That's what I want to see happen now.
Yeah. Now that we've identified our out,
It's important that you know what they are at all times. That's what I want to see take place.
Time Lock plus Planeswalker is also a combo.
Yeah, and he has Tameo in his deck too.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Temporal Mastery is a very real card in his deck.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, if there's any deck that would be in the market for a 7 mana Time Walk, it's most certainly this one, right?
Sure. Now here's an interesting question. He's going to sacrifice that. And for the record, because we got the records wrong at the top of the match, Phimus is 4-1, and Joseph Penney is 4-0-1. So the Blue Black Tezzeret deck actually does not have a loss yet; it just has a draw. Now Frost Titan came into play. Torpor Orb negated its coming to battlefield effect. Excuse me. For you, and we're talking about series of draws that can get him out of this game, as unlikely as they may be. I don't want to say that Phimus is dead right now, but it feels like we're kind of going through the motions of him being dead right now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Would you want to show him any other cards from your deck? Would you consider conceding right now to A, save time, and to B, save some of the secrets in his deck?
Well, the thing is, what you're describing is only going to come up if Phimus actually wants to play them, right? It's not like this guy's going to Cataxian Probe you or like Cranial Extraction you receive your deck or whatever. Like it only comes up if you allow it to come up because you could still realistically win the game.
Okay.
So
maybe Phimus is better off just not playing anything and trying to get as much information as he can from Joseph Penney.
No, there's definitely value in dragging the game out because who knows what other bizarre cards you're going to see that you're going to have to read and write down or whatever. Like,
Sure, Trading Post could just be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how deep the rabbit hole goes?
Yeah, that's fair. So here come the tokens from Worm Coil, Life and Death token. Okay,
all right, just a concession.
He's going to scoop her up.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, and I don't hate that. He's pretty much beat. Doesn't have to show him any more cards. He was going to die from Tezzeret activation, so that's okay. And we just move on to the next game. There's 35 minutes left. Time could become an issue.
Yep.
That sort of thing. So you don't want to, you know, lose to that when it's definitely something that you can control at this point in time.
Penney's deck is definitely slow and grindy. I mean, the idea that this goes out to a drag 3 games is very realistic. So.
Yeah, he already has a draw too.
Yeah.
So, looking at Penney's sideboard, Phyrexian Metamorph is almost certainly going to come in. There's 8 Titans to copy, and he also has good targets of his own. Another Wormcoil Engine is probably going to come in. He also has this little Spicer here in Barter in Blood.
Ooh.
Which he could I think it's very conceivable that he catches 2 Titans in that one removal spell. I don't think that's out of the question at all. 2 Duresses are okay to kind of stop the ramping a little bit, but they get worse the later the game goes because Phimus is going to be able to cast every spell that he draws.
Yep.
Negate, kind of the same thing, but a little bit different.
It's okay, but not spectacular.
He didn't see Temporal Mastery game 1.
Yeah.
I think
although
if he saw
reasonable to guess that it could be there.
Sure. I think if he saw it, he would board in for sure. The second Torpor Orb is 100% going to come in. Grafdigger's Cage.
Seems like a stretch, but I don't really know what it. I mean, is it just an anti-Snapcaster sort of card?
I mean, it's an anti-Snapcaster sort of card. It's also fairly good against Primeval Titans coming to battlefield effect of not letting the lands come into play, so it makes it a little bit worse as far as what it can do. He also has another Tameo in his sideboard as well, which is going to come in as well to lock the Titans down. So that's what I see his options being.
Yeah. Phimus has 2 Ancient Grudges, 2 Crushing Vines, and a Karn that I believe that he wants. He also has an Inkmoth Nexus and a Kessig will run on his sideboard. It wouldn't surprise me if his plan was to just cut 2 of the Glimmer Posts in matchups where his life total isn't particularly meaningful.
Sure.
Just have more utility with Nexuses and Wolf runs. I would imagine that would be happening here. But he has he has some artifact removal, and Karn also seems good against Penney's deck too. So.
And I want to quickly correct myself with the Grafdigger's Cage. It only stops creatures from coming in from libraries. Because if it stopped lands from coming in from libraries, fetch lands would be very bad.
Sure. Legacy would probably be a different format.
Yeah, so I just thought of that. I just thought of that very quickly. That would be completely absurd. So that's not a thing. Only creatures. So it kind of stops Green Sun Zenith, and that's not a card I believe that is in Phimus' deck.
And even if it was, it's not something that you're going to bring in sideboard cards to fight.
Sure. So it's kind of an interesting matchup. You know, Phimus did what I think he wanted to accomplish, which was ramping ahead of Joseph. You know, he had a Frost Titan on turn 4, and then it died, and then in turn he died because it was the only threat that he drew.
Yep.
And then Joseph kind of did his thing with his trading post and his Tesseract and his Wormcoil Engine and ended the game. I think, you know, this is going to be kind of similar to the last time we saw ramp, as, you know, he's going to overpower him over the top, and then once he gets to a 6-mana threshold or a 7-mana threshold, he just needs to draw the threats.
So when you say overpowered him with his trading post, what do you mean exactly?
I'd rather, you know...
You know, he made a goat.
Yeah, you know, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, sure.
The next game's going to start soon.
Sure, I don't want to focus on...
But, you know, if you want me to...
The subtleties.
I do need an article topic for next week.
Whatever happened there with the trading post eluded me. Its impact in that game, whatever's happening is too... I don't know, it's not on my level to be able to perceive, so...
You know, it's not the kind of card that I normally play either. I'm more of your kind of 1-mana 2/2 kind of guy.
Right, yeah.
Whereas your Lightning Bolt is more your specialty.
I like a 1-mana 2/2 fine as well. They just don't make them in red, so I don't get to play with them.
They gotta be careful.
If they made them, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, they gave it haste the last time they made it,
yeah.
And that worked out great.
Worked out okay.
Yeah, for some of us.
Yeah. My check's cleared or whatever. I mean,
yeah.
worked out fine.
But, you know, Trading Post is an interesting card because it does all of this stuff. It has all of this text, but in reality, does it really do anything?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
You're paying a lot for utility, right? Like, it's not about any one individual thing it's doing and being overwhelming. It's about having a variety of effects that are all independently not worth a card, but together, and all the effects obviously play well with one another. Each of them feed into one another.
Sure.
So it's not just about what's the overall impact of what the card does, like the turn you played or the following turn. It's just about how much flexibility and utility it's giving you. You know, how much more complicated does it make your opponent's turns? It's that kind of utility.
Sure. I mean, it's an interesting card because at its mana cost 4 mana, you know, using your turn on like turn 4 to tap out, cast that card, and then say go and not affect the board at all. You know, you may affect the board incrementally down the road, but for you to tap out on turn 4, cast Trading Post, and not doing anything with it, it doesn't sit well with me. I understand
Yeah.
that over the course of the game, it's going to provide advantage for you, but can you afford to tap out on turn 4 against a deck to cast that card, like against a deck like Delver? That's the real question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ideally, you're playing it on 5. I would.
Sure, playing it on 5 and getting an activation out of it right away. Sure. Joe's going to start with a Ponder, while Phimus started with just a Hinterland Harbor. Both players kept their opening 7. So presumably Phimus is going to be ramping on turn 2 as only his deck can, while Joe was able to keep with his Ponder. And I see a Torpor Orb in Joe's opening hand, and no ramp on turn 2 for Phimus, unfortunately.
They play a Rootbound Crag tap there.
And that's part of the cost of his deck. If you're going to play 3 colors, sometimes your mana is that's going to happen. Lands are going to come to play tapped, or you may draw too many colorless lands, or what have you.
So,
all right, and there's a
Penney has a Liliana in his hand too, which is I really like Liliana a lot against the ramp decks. Besides just editing, I actually like trading one for one on the cards, because they're the type of deck that needs all their mana and all their threat cards. Like, they can't really afford to lose one or the other. So these are the types of exchanges that heavily favor Penney.
Yeah, and back when I was playing Wolf Run Ramp about 2 months ago, every single day, and that was my PTQ deck of choice, Liliana was the card I was most scared to play against from an Esper deck or something of that nature, because, as you said, you need every card, you need every mana. You don't want to be disrupted through your hand. That's almost too difficult for you to overcome. And with Torpor Orb being in play, let's say he does get to his Titan, he doesn't even get...
It doesn't even matter,
Yeah, he doesn't even get, the payoff from his Titan. He's not even going to get the 2 lands that he would get from Primeval Titans. So that's where the issue comes into play.
Yeah, Pan has 4 Primeval Titans, 4 Frost Titans, and 3 Solemns as his creatures. So Torpor Orb is about as good as it can possibly get against a deck.
Sure.
And now he's in the squeeze, like...
Yeah, I mean, he's in a terrible situation now, because he needs to get the cards out of his hand. The longer he holds them, the more they're going to get discarded, as you see a Farseek resolving right now. And so he wants to get these cards out of his hand, because, if you wait, then Liliana's going to go up to ultimate range, and then she's going to blow up everything, and it's going to set back your development back to the Stone Age, and then where are you even at?
Yeah.
So this is just, it's such a good card against ramp, because it's just lose, lose, lose every single way that you go.
He needs every single bit of the buffalo to be able to assemble what he needs to assemble. So basically, what he needs to find is he needs to find an Ancient Grudge and then a Titan. And even then, he's not even in the clear, even if he gets all of that stuff.
Yes, and it's fairly important for Phimus. This is where a card like Beast Within This is where a card like Beast Within is super important, because that's the kind of card that cleans up cards like this.
Yeah.
You'll give your opponent a 3/3 to have your Titans do what they're supposed to do, or to get Liliana off the board and stop disrupting you.
Yeah, it's a huge catch-all.
Ponder Zone, I think we see another Liliana, don't we?
Yeah, it's 2 lands and a Liliana, so...
It's a quick shuffle. And at this point, Joseph has, for being in, the early portion of this game, he's got pretty good control of this game.
Oh yeah, no, you couldn't ask for basic... Ponder, Torpor Orb, Liliana is the curve that you would ask for if you could, sculpt your opening 7. So
now he just needs, he doesn't need to put the game away immediately, because he's in such a good spot right now. But ideally, he's looking for some sort of threat, or something to get some pressure on.
You're just trying to avoid Grudge into Titan mattering.
Sure.
I suppose also just Karn can potentially go way over the top of you if you just kind of mess around for too long.
That's true too. He's gonna pass back. Is this a Grudge right now? Looks to be.
Yeah, it looks like
Okay. So he's got problem 1 out of the way that you spoke of.
So let's see if he has a 6, or even better still, a 7 to play right here. Tameo wouldn't be bad either.
Tameo would be fine.
Yeah.
Karn would be the best card he could play. If he could play land Karn and use all of his resources, that would be the best thing he could do. He'd have no cards in hand for Liliana to matter, and nothing to sacrifice Liliana's second ability. But I think if he had that, he would have done that by now.
Yeah, we wouldn't be thinking this long if he had something as good as Karn.
I think we've had 2 Liliana activations, so it's on 5. 6 is its ultimate. So, you know, we're getting into the area where it's going to begin to matter. Now that looks like a...
It's a Frost Titan, I think?
I believe that's Frosty. Yeah, okay, that's Frosty the Snowman.
And that's just gonna... That's almost certainly just gonna eat a Liliana activation.
Yeah. And now Phimus is at the point of the game, and this is one of the things that makes Ramp a little bit dangerous, is at the point of the game where he has no cards in his hand, but he has the mana necessary to cast every spell.
Yep, and he's got a lot of big ones, too.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of big whammies that he can draw right now and have them be relevant, so... That is not bad. He's going to copy that. He's going to have to tap something that isn't Frost Titan.
And then just use... And then he just gets to use Liliana to make it kill. Yeah.
I mean, it's not... Obviously, it looks bad on the surface. It's not all bad because he has the Grudge in the graveyard. It's going to cost 3 because of the Frost Titan effect to take care of it. So it's not all bad. We're not dead in the water, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
We're going to sack Evolving Wilds at the end step. Tough part here for Phimus is because... Oh, never mind. He does have 6 mana. So this is like the one turn where he does not want to draw a Karn.
Yes.
Ideally. I guess it's not terrible because... Oh, well, he can't cast it. Never mind. Yeah, this is the one turn he doesn't want to cast it, which was going to be my original point. Because he'll have to discard it over to Liliana. Is that the only 7 that he has in his deck?
Yeah, 2 copies of Karn and, you know... I guess technically Temporal Mastery, but he can always just...
Miracle that,
yeah.
Sure. Perhaps Miracle into Karn?
Wouldn't be bad. Trying the Karn here would be the worst.
Yeah. There's not a worse draw in his deck. I'd take a land at this point, just to get the card out of my hand.
Nothing wrong with a land. So, Phimus contemplating his move here. I think you almost certainly want... Oh, the drew a 6.
6. Prime Time or Frosty? Frosty.
So this is in essence going to let him trade with Liliana. I would assume this thing is just going to eat a... You need this turn.
Well, Liliana should be at 5, so the sack put him to 3, so the next sack should put it to 1.
Well, it's marked at 2. Unless I'm reading his dice incorrectly.
If you can see the number on that thing, you're better than me. Okay, 2 counters on Liliana. So I am incorrect. As they switch the dice for us very kindly. Very nice of them. So Frost Titan just gets tapped down by Phyrexian Metamorph mimicking Frost Titan. Pays the 2, pays the toll to be able to do that. And now I think we could assume that Liliana's probably going to activate the discard portion. Okay, no activation. How do you feel about that?
Not sure what... Oh boy.
Things are turning.
This is a nice draw.
This is going to let him grudge.
Grudge and attack next turn.
Yep. I can understand not wanting to trade Liliana there, but this is the kind of thing, you know, this is where he gets stuck. Ooh, no grudge.
Not sure why you wouldn't grudge there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to grudge. You can't, I don't think that you can reasonably play around. I mean, you could play around Mana Leak, I get it.
Alright, so we're going to just keep that locked.
Sure, he's going to keep it locked. Maybe he doesn't know that grudge is an option. I mean, based off of what happened game 1, you can't really expect your Frost Titan to live very long.
Yeah,
you know that he's got. We know that he has access to some spot removal, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah, at this point, I definitely would. I would not be playing around Mana Leak out of Penney's deck. His deck is like way too main phase oriented to be playing with a bunch of leaks.
Just gonna pass back. target. This would go to throats.
All right,
Take care of that.
Frost Titan down.
And so now we're just getting in the situation where does Phimus know that he can grudge that Metamorph?
I don't know. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Maybe he's just trying to trick him into playing his own, like, another Metamorph or a Phantasmal image or something like that.
Okay, I mean, it's possible that maybe he just didn't need to do it right away. Tezzeret, did that a miss? Wow.
4 lands and something else.
Wow. We need action. And the best thing that Phimus can do this turn, you know, presuming that he doesn't have any big action spell, is just attack Tezzeret with Inkmoth Nexus, which is so unexciting.
Yeah, you're not going to win this way. You got to figure some way to get that thing actually off the table. Well, we're going to spin Tezzeret again.
I think we can assume this isn't going to be a second brick in a row.
It would be hard to imagine. Nope, that's 2 in a row. No, that's 2 in a row.
Yeah, people ask me why I never win. Here you go. What the heck do I know?
That's not bad, I guess.
Oh, just a 6/6 lifelink death touch? You're okay with that being in play? It's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd. It's no lightning bolt.
Is that the best?
But...
Is that the best that you have?
It's no Yamabushi's flame.
But what is?
But what is?
Some of my favorite moments of watching ramp is the moment where the ramp player actually starts individually counting out his mana.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many do I have? What spells can I cast? Oh, all of them? 5, 6, 7. This is like a Temple Master to me. Okay.
No, he would have been free rolling it at some point.
Oh yeah, sure. You're right. My bad. Big Papa Karn. This was the best card that he could draw. I mean, this is like the ultimate card against Joseph's deck.
And with the 2 minute leftover, he can actually knock a counter off the Tezzeret if he feels like dealing with the Worm Coil.
I think he has to deal with the Worm Coil. Interesting.
Oh, I guess he's going to chump block.
I mean, that only works if he doesn't have Doomblade.
Which I believe he does.
I know he has Go for the Throat. That only works if he doesn't have Doomblade, though. He's tapping his mana quickly.
Oh, a Tumble Magnet.
Yeah, I didn't...
That works just fine, too.
Yeah, I did not like... Oh! The Grudge. I got a grudge.
That was a weird turn.
Yeah, that really was. That was a really weird turn, yeah.
All right, time for Karn to do his business. Let's see if he can drag him out of this game.
Well, there's no better card to win.
Temporal Mastery. No.
I believe Karn's going to have to go upstairs.
Yeah.
Take a card. Nexus can fake like it's going to block, which will get tapped by Tumble Magnet. We can grudge one half. Yeah, we can grudge 1/2 of the token, presumably the lifelink token. But I could see a reason for killing the Death Touch token because of the Titans in his deck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the light tunnel kind of doesn't matter, right? He's going to eventually overwhelm him or not. It's not really about incremental points.
Yeah. He just casually passes back. Draw step from Mr. Penney. I'm not quite sure what it reveals, but we're going to come on in.
So I think he's going to animate the Nexus here and just induce the Tumble Magnet activation, even though I think Pan's fine getting it magneted, like whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't mind, but he likes to have a counter off of it.
Right, exactly. Now he still gets to grudge one of the tokens and keep Karn ticking.
Yep. And we'll find out which one he got, if it was the lifelink or the Death Touch token.
I think it's safe to assume it was the Death Touch token.
You never assume in this business.
Sure.
That's when it gets ugly.
Destroy the lifelink token.
Destroy the lifelink token.
Fair
So
enough.
who assumed again?
That was me.
That was you, okay.
That was my bad.
That's good. +1 to Cedric Phillips. Keeping a running count. It's like 5-1 Pat right now, but we got 5 rounds left.
Plenty of time to make up the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a comeback story. So just looking at things, I know that Joe has a Go for the Throat in his hand and not much else. I think this is one of those situations where Trading Post would be very good.
Yeah.
All right, our floor judge made a mistake. It's actually the lifelink token that is alive. And the wait, no, it's the lifelink token that survived.
Yeah, he killed the Death Touch token.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So that means I don't get my point.
Still throwing a perfect game.
It's 6-0.
Still plenty of time to make it up.
Okay.
And there's
Frost
a
Titan,
there's
and
a
that is going
concession.
to do it.
Yeah. Karn is really, really good against Penny's deck. I don't think he has much of.
No.
He can't really attack. And
there's not much
he can't
you can
get
do
out.
about
He
it.
can't kill it once it's in play. It's about the best card you could ask for.
Yeah, and his deck doesn't attack very much either. He has 3 Wormcoil engines, and then Tezzeret turning guys into 5/5 artifacts.
Yeah.
So there's not a very good way for him to go about attacking that card. And when he does turn a guy into a 5/5 artifact, how many ancient grudges does Phimus have access to?
He has 2 grudges, 2 vines. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can just make those guys irrelevant, then he makes
Right.
them do a 5/5. So if there was a game plan that he could sculpt, it would involve Karn, it would involve Temporal Mastery. Now what's interesting is that game, as we said around turn 3 or turn 4, is that if you could sculpt a hand for Joe Penney, it would be turn 1
That was
Ponder,
perfect.
turn 2 Torpor, turn 3 Liliana, and he lost that game.
Yeah.
If you're Joseph Penney and you're thinking the way that we are, that's the best start that I can have, you're a little demoralized right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a rough one to lose right there. Essentially, hand sort of fumbled around for a while. It's not even like anything particularly lucky happened for him. I mean, he drew a Karn at some point. He was able to get the board stable enough to land a Karn, and that was enough to just drag the game out.
Yeah. And it was once Karn resolved, the game was more or less over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just the power of that card. I think that Phimus has a lot of, great top-end threats in the matchup. I think Tameo's pretty good. I think that Karn is pretty good. Grudge is a nice hedge against all the things that he's doing. It's going to be interesting to see what Penney can do to win this matchup.
Well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with, I believe his best card is Tezzeret, would be my, Phimus' deck is also not particularly good at attacking. So it's not too hard to get a Tezzeret in play, relatively protected, and to be able to drag the game out with that card.
Sure.
Obviously, Karn answers that on top of everything else, but I believe a fast Tezzeret is Penny's best route here.
I mean, we're going to see. I think I would agree with you, Tezzeret. Between Torpor, Tezzeret, maybe getting some incremental advantage off Trading Post. And I think Liliana is crucial to what he's doing.
Yeah. No, the Planeswalkers are definitely at their best here from both sides.
Yeah.
None of these decks are particularly good at attacking.
Yeah. I think they're just very, very important. Liliana may be the most important card on both sides of the matchup. I think Liliana is the most important card for Penney. Karn is the most important card for Phimus. And then, we can go from there about, what they're doing the rest of their game. But if they don't draw the most important card in their deck, I think it's not going to matter.
Right. Yeah, there's a whole lot of setup for a couple cards that actually matter. And then everything else is sort of
kind of keeping you alive till you get to that point. Yeah, I don't really think that much changes. Now that Penney has seen Temporal Mastery, now that he's seen Karn, Negate's probably going to find its way in.
I would have to assume he wants. If he didn't have Negate before, after losing that game, he would want to have it now.
Duress may find its way in as well. I don't like Duress because the situations you're going to get yourself into is that Phimus is going to have no cards in his hand, and he's just going to be playing off the top like he was that game. Yeah. And Duress is never going to catch the threat it wants to catch, unless it's the first 5 or 6 turns of the game. But if Karn is in one of his opening hands, and some of the cards in his deck aren't relevant enough, like Trading Post, like Black Sun Zenith, that sort of thing, then Mortipod, you're going to have to consider bringing it in. He has Ratchet Bombs.
Yeah, he's got plenty of cards that don't do very much at all. So there's definitely some room for him to bring in the cards you're describing.
I mean, obviously we don't like Duress, but if that's what it takes to win.
Well, I mean, it's also just an issue of, like, he's got a lot of marginal to dead cards in his main deck in the matchup.
Yes.
So it just might be, he just might have to actually get 60 reasonable cards to present.
Ratchet Bomb up to 7.
It isn't out of sorts. Turn 1 Ponder. Shows 3 lands.
And those went away. Those are keeping. Okay.
We kept them.
Interland Harbor for Phimus is going to start off, and we kind of saw this last game. Just kind of off to a slow start. There's the Torpor Orb again.
The Torpor Orb is very good. It's unfortunately, for Penney, quite bad against Grudge, especially if he's playing in such a way where he's leaning on it to protect him from a big turn from Phimus. It's potentially can lead him down to a really bad path.
Yeah.
He's leaning on that to protect him from Titans or...
And I think that we can agree that he is pretty much leaning on that to protect him from Titans. Yes, he can Doomblade or go for the throat them once they're in play, but if Primeval Titan specifically has already gotten its effect off,
a lot of the damage has been done, especially if he's ramping into Karn.
Yes. Inkmoth, do we have...
I think we have a Tumble Magnet.
Yeah, we don't have Liliana again. We have Tumble Magnet this go around, which is perfectly reasonable. It's good against the Titans once they're in play, and since he has the Torpor Orb Tumble Magnet combination, that's going to one-up the Titans fairly well.
Yeah, he's under no risk of getting attacked for a while.
Problem is, of course, as you said, Ancient Grudge is going to take care of those in 1 card.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of artifacts, like really heavy artifact-centric decks in the metagame. Grudge still gets sideboard slots in part because it's so powerful when it does come up, and both of the artifact-centric decks we've had on camera so far have gotten like right into the crosshairs of Ancient Grudge.
Yeah, they've gotten complete murder. Yeah, there's just nothing they can do. That's the last card they want to play against. Trading Post on turn 4 for Joseph. He can start setting some things up.
This is the weirdest curve of random stuff I've seen in a while. All right, so he's going to Tumble Magnet. He's going to use Tumble Magnet on the sphere to lock it down.
Which will slow development a little bit, but as far as, Phimus' game plan wasn't going to be the 2-4-6 this game anyway. He had to go off curve. So it's really not going to slow when his Titan is going to hit play. Unfortunately for Joseph. Presuming that he does have a ramp spell or something this turn. Solemn is turned off, so that's not an option.
Yeah. Basically, the only play that's really locks Phimus out of is Tamio. It's really the only...
Sure. Two manas. We are going to cast... It looks to be a Rampant Growth. Yeah.
Also, you can tell on the top center there, in between their names, that we've only got 7.5 minutes for these guys. They had a 5-minute time extension. So, also, they're both kind of under some pressure, not only to win, but to win quickly.
Yes. Time is going to become a factor. As we said, Joseph Penney already does have a draw. We know his deck takes a little while to win.
Yeah.
It's all the incremental advantage through Trading Post and, Wormcoil Engine. Finishes games out quickly, but Phimus has pretty good answers to Wormcoil Engine too, so it's something where he's going to have to close out the game fast.
Yeah.
He's just going to pass.
Go. He had a sphere in his hand that he didn't play.
Really?
Yeah.
5 mana. That's a relevant card.
Tamio.
Interesting to me that he did not cast that sphere. Once Penney established that he's willing to trade a Tumble Magnet token, Tumble Magnet counter for Sphere of the Suns.
Yeah, for sure. Then
I think that you have to get as much mana out into play as fast as you can.
Also, I'm not really sure what you're holding it for.
I mean, yes, he can Grudge. Like he's representing Ancient Grudge right now, and that's pretty good. But I think you just want to get all of the mana in your hand.
You want to get all your mana on the table, and then you can start playing your spells from there.
Yeah. And if you're grudging Tumble Magnet, ugh. That's not so good.
Could be the orb. Like, it could have been his plan was to blow up the orb, untap, and cast a 6, but it's possible Tamio is locking down the mana he needs to.
Okay. To kind of ruin that plan?
Right.
Sure. So he's just going to put a 6/6 into play, say go. It can be locked by Tamio, so it doesn't really do very much.
Unless he ripped that Titan, that was a little weird. I would just blow up the orb first and
then cast it, especially if he has Cavern, so it's going to resolve no matter what. There's the duress we talked about, and there's Uncle Karn.
Yeah, you got the Karn.
I'm not in love with Phimus' sequencing this game at all.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he's really taken the time to plan out his turns to what he wants to accomplish. And now he's just going to get no punishment because of Torpor Orb. But I was going to say, I think he's about to get horribly punished, but no punishment because of Torpor Orb. But he's got this small window to draw Karn this turn. But I just don't like the way that he planned out his turns at all. His Titan is fairly irrelevant. You know, he didn't get anything off of it, and it's going to be locked down for the rest of the game. And you know, we may have grudged Tumble Magnet at some point, but I don't feel like it should be our first grudge target.
No, no. So we're looking at a hand of Sphere of the Suns, Mystery,
and Rampant Growth, which is what he just resolved. Seems to me he's in a pretty bad spot, because even now, as crazy as this is to say, Trading Post is actually going to start doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Trading Post should be a very live card in this matchup. But
I mean,
now it's going to...
You know, Penney has a lot of tools to slow the game down, right? Like,
Sure.
you need time to get that card to really be doing anything. And, you know, he has Tumble Magnet and Torpor Orb and Tamio and his spot removal spells. He has some tools to grind the game down.
Sure.
The thing that invalidates all that, which we saw in the second game, was Karn, but now with one Karn duressed away and the other one not to be seen, the rest of his tools can kind of do their thing.
Just going to grudge.
We're going to Trading Post it.
Just going to sack Metamorph, get back Tumble Magnet. Okay. Play Tumble Magnet.
Assume Tamio's going to lock down the Titan.
That is what my assumption would be. And then if he were to draw a Temple Master this turn, to untap his guy, then Tumble Magnet would relock it, so it wouldn't be able to attack. That's a bit inky. Get into that. Just gonna tap it. Now you said they have a. Oh, hold on a second. This looks like another Titan to me. Okay, Wormcoil Engine. Now you said they have a 5-minute extension, yes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as opposed to the clock round that we have, we're already 3 minutes overtime in the town, but they got a 5-minute extension.
Okay.
The clock represents that extension.
Okay. So this could, I mean, Joe Penney's really going to have to put the pedal to the metal here and find some way to win this game, because he already has one draw. It looks like, you know, they only have a minute. I mean, we're under 2 minutes left. He's got to get this game over with. He's got to get it over with fast, or we're going to be looking at another draw for the both of these guys. Can't quite see the card he cast, but I'm going to assume it's a 2-mana artifact.
Sphere or something. Mortipod.
Mortipod, okay. Surprised that's in his deck after sideboard.
It's actually pretty reasonable here, though. Mortipod plus Trading Post means that he just can ignore the Wormcoil for forever.
Okay, sure.
Actually, it's not a bad spot for it. You can make a goat, and then you can move the Mortipod onto your goat, and then you can sack your goat.
Just one of the angles. that Trading Post provides.
Yeah. All right, so he's gonna get we're gonna get a Metamorph back and Metamorph.
Copy that.
The Worm Coil.
Minute to go.
Penney can actually start winning pretty quickly from here.
Agreed. He needs to find the counter on that die.
Yeah.
He needs to do it quick. Tap that Worm Coil down. Get moving, buddy. All right. Pass it back. Last thing he needs, another draw. Looks like Phimus is going to be active player, so Joseph Penney's going to have turns 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, he's going to get,
So he's
Penney's going to get 3 turns no matter what.
Okay. 5 mana.
Zone Tamio, maybe?
Yes, sir. So he's going to get the first attack with Worm Coil. Yep. So it should be turn 1.
So turn 1 at a time should be right now.
See what he can do to get him dead. Looking at the board, 0 began on Penney's turn, so this is turn 0. We've just got it from our show director. So let's see if we can figure out a way to win this game, Pat. I think if he makes a goat with Trading Post, equips it to Mortarpod, attacks with his Worm Coil engine, Inkmoth Nexus won't be able to block it because he can throw the goat token at it.
Yep.
So that's probably a decent start. He's going to equip this to Mortarpod? Okay. So he's going to represent it a different way.
Sure.
Going to get in there, activate. I think you have to throw it at it. Yep.
All right, so he connects for 6, dropping Phimus to 14.
Phimus has so many good draws. He can draw Tameo, he can draw Karn, he can draw Prime Titan to get Glimmer Post if he still has him in his deck.
I mean, I assume he has 2.
He can draw Temporal Mastery. He has so many good draws in his deck. To make extra turns not be a big deal. Looks to be turn 1 now. I'm not sure if he has a Grudge in his graveyard or not. No, he flashed it back already.
Yeah, he flashed it back.
Okay. Tumble Magnet's going to tap down Worm Coil. Trading Post is going to get its post down. Could only guess what activation he's using of that.
Yeah, dude, we are purely speculating at this point. God, it's goat
time.
All right. So on that turn, we made a goat.
We're going to rock and roll to turn number 2.
Taking the graveyard, we can loop with the Trading Post, so any artifact's fair game to get back.
I mean, if things go correctly for Joseph, and he's just going to attack for 6.
Attack for 6 again.
Yeah, and then equip
Mortarpod,
Mortarpod to kill him if things go perfectly. And he, Phimus misses on his next draw step, and he missed on his previous one. Equips Mr. Baba.
Now,
considering equip Mr. Baba, he's going to start here.
Do this, yeah.
All right, in for 6, puts him to 8. I think he wants to equip now. I think you got to equip now.
Yeah. No, you know the coast is clear.
Plays Darkslick Shores, equipping here, can still activate trade trading post for whatever he wants to do.
Yep.
Pass it back, draw a card.
This should be pretty elementary here. You just have the worm coil.
Okay. This looks like a land. Okay, that's... Why does that matter?
It doesn't.
Trading post is going to...
Yeah, at this point he just has to be, like, the only thing that Penney has to really be worried about is Grudge.
Okay.
He's just trying to be careful about Grudge, I would assume.
He's gonna sack that. He's gonna sack that Tumble Bang in a turn and get it back with trading post, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he has enough mana to make another dude and shoot and everything else.
Well, he doesn't need to make. He doesn't need to make another dude with trading post because he can just throw Worm Coil at him to kill him.
I just don't know if he has enough mana for everything that he needs to do.
Okay. Do this. He's gonna throw this over at Hamlet. Tumble Magnet is just short.
Yeah, I actually don't think he can do it.
Tap your guy. Attack you. Equip Worm.
He needs to have another land.
He does need to have another land. Throw this at you.
And that's a draw.
Is it a draw or a win? I can't tell.
Based on Penny's body language, I think that's a draw.
Need confirmation.
Draw. Ding, ding, ding.
It is a draw. All right. 1 mana short of getting him dead. Joseph Penney and Famous Pan are moving on to... Joe Penney is now 4-0-2 with Blue-Black Tezzeret. And Famous Pan's going to move to 4-1-1 with his blue-green-red ramp deck. So